On a hot morning in the month of June, the abbot of Tewkesbury hastily binds a message to the leg of a pigeon. The bird flies to Carleon, where King Arthur receives the letter with Guinevere by his side. Intrigued, he begins to read.
Deliver us, O my King. I am the abbot Alban. The sun is burning, the earth so dry. We wait for rain, we fear the harvest will die. The poor people of Tewkesbury now pray, a Saviour comes, and the woe does not end there. To noble lords beyond my abbey, prepare to parted, with 2 lives lost so cruelly. O Lord, what good will bring this revenge? Oh, I do implore you must help bring this war to an end. Fear not, I hear your plea. I will send my knights to thee. Now peace will come, the good earth shall flourish once more.
Our knights soon reach the domain of Tewkesbury Abbey, where they see the riverbed completely dry. Our heroes are stunned to come face to face with field mice as big as wolves. The belligerent rodents approach, fearless and squealing, and soon they throw themselves upon our heroes. Our heroes fought the giant field mice so fiercely they killed them all. Yet it is very strange indeed to see these usually tiny and fearful animals so large and aggressive. The soil in the fields is hard and cracked, burned by the sun. Any plant's shoots have withered. No farmers tend these crops. What would be the point since there is no water? The plain is covered in yellowed grass, while the hornbeam, beech, and alder trees display their withered leaves, other signs of the drought. The riverbed ends in front of the large boulder. Perhaps this is where the spring is supposed to flow from. The path from the plain begins to climb, shaded by some fir trees. The abbey must be at the top of the hill. Near the abbey's main gate, 2 guards stand in front of a high tower. One stops our knight. "Halt there, sire," cries the guard. "I have orders not to let anyone in." He and his companions are guarding the entrance to the tower where his lord, Sir Tenavon, has locked up Rivellon, a knight. Our hero turns away under the guard's indifferent gaze. Our heroes step into the abbey. They are now in a hallway that opens onto a cloister. To the left are 2 doors, one of which is watched over by 2 guards. One of the guards tells him there is nothing to be seen here. The silent cloister is sweetly serene. Yet, here too the drought's effects are seen. The fountain is dry and plants suffer from the heat. In the Abbey chapter house, two lords have turned their backs to each other. Sitting between them is Alban, the abbot, looking desperate. They greet our knight, despite the worries that overwhelm him. Alban is relieved to see our knight and his companions finally arrive at the Abbey. Alban nods. He tells our knight to listen carefully to grasp the full picture. It is so hot, and there has been no rain for months. Perhaps it's a punishment from heaven. In any case, he thinks he may have a way to remedy it. A long time ago, not far from here, a shepherd hit a large rock with his staff, causing the source of the Avon River to spring forth. After such a miracle, he devoted himself to heaven and founded the Abbey. At his death, he became the founding saint of this place and his staff a relic. Saint Theoc is the spiritual father of all the Abbey's monks. How sad his story has been lost over time, he exclaims. But by embracing his values, you will succeed in your quest. The saint was buried in the crypt of the Abbey with the relic, but one day, the sacred object disappeared. No one knows what happened to it. Afterwards, the catacombs became a dangerous place. No one who ventured there ever returned. It was said that this part of the Abbey was cursed. Alban opens his eyes wide, as if our hero is making fun of him. But seeing that the knight is sincere, he replies, "By divine will, of course. This staff is a sacred relic. It would be a sacrilege to think it has no power." A secret entry can be found behind the saint's statue in the church. To open the passageway, our knight must address a prayer to the saint that is worthy of being listened to. Alban believes that any good deeds will make the saint more inclined to let them into the catacombs. Their size is said to be the work of the holy founder of the Abbey, but the reasons have been forgotten. They are usually peaceful. It is perhaps the lack of water and food that is making them aggressive. Our hero leaves the religious man in the grips of exasperation. To the left of Alban, a powerful man with a thick build and a beard the color of leaves on an autumn day introduces himself as Tenevan. His face is red with anger. The Lord suddenly raises his voice. "The matter is simple," he says. "I am being refused compensation for the crimes committed." Again, he speaks loudly when he replies, "The vile Argantel owes me 5,000 pounds. He won't take responsibility for the actions of his dear nephew, Rivellon." He is Sir Argantel's nephew. "If he cares about him," he says in a huff, "he'd better start raising money." The Lord takes a grave tone. "What he did cannot be forgiven, and the sum I'm asking for is nothing compared to the death of my best knight and the death of my son, my little boy." The Lord has him chained up to the top of the Abbey's bell tower, and no one, except the abbot, is allowed to go up there. Sir Tenevan laughs contemptuously. If Argantel cannot pay the ransom, his nephew will be executed at day's end. "Whether you like it or not," he shouts for Sir Argantel's benefit. Sir Tennevan arrogantly replies, I'm hardly in the mood to grant your wish. Come see me later at the cloister. Maybe I'll have changed my mind then. He does not even let our knight finish his sentence. That's enough. I will not tolerate anyone questioning my decisions. In truth, he wants to see the suffering and helplessness on Sir Argantel's face. Tennevan will rejoice when Rivalen dies as his lord looks on. Tennevan says not a word as our knight walks. To Alban's right, the brown-haired man with fine features introduces himself as Sir Argantel. His face is ashen and careworn. Jaw clenched, the Lord snaps. He is demanding 5,000 pounds. Not even King Arthur has such a fortune. He raises his voice, but it shakes nonetheless. Sir Tennevan seeks compensation, but it is an impossible sum to raise. It is merely an excuse to send Rivalen to his death. Rivalen is both his nephew and his best knight. Unfortunately, he is the source of the conflict between the two lords. The man lowers his voice. Though it would be better for our hero to ask Alban for the details, he can nevertheless reveal that Rivalen killed one of Tennevan's knights. Also, the Lord's little boy happened to be there and drowned by accident. Sir Tennevan, who has heard everything, exclaims, "An accident! That old goat is persistent with his lies. Easy to see that he's not the one who lost his only child." Sir Argantel has a gloomy face. Really, only a miracle could resolve the situation. He would punish his nephew himself, but Tennevan only seeks revenge. The reserved lord thanks our hero for the help he is attempting to provide. Then, lowering his voice, the lord adds that he would like to request his services. His daughter, Steren, insisted on coming along for the negotiations, but every morning she does not answer the knocks on her door. Yet, guards keep watch over the entrance to her room. Then, around noon, she reappears. Sir Argantel seems relieved. He begs our knight to learn where his daughter is going and gives him permission to search her room if he must. Then, he gives him a seal to show the guards, so they will let him in. One of the guards tells him there is nothing to be seen here. The guard nods. Our hero may now enter the room. The austere monk's cell is sparsely furnished. No presence disturbs the calm of this place. Under the bed, our knight discovers a brick with the following inscription: Protected Love. The Lord's daughter must have taken this beautiful chest with her. The luxuriousness of the object greatly contrasts with the austerity of this place. Our knight fiddles with the lock until he hears a click. The chest is now open. Though the chest does contain a few of the lady's dresses, it is an engraved brick that really attracts his attention. Leads to heaven is what our hero reads. Our hero finds a brick placed at the foot of a cross in a cavity in the wall. On one side of the brick, one can read, "At the resting place." Our hero puts the brick he found under the bed in this cavity. He has no problem sliding it in. Our knight picks up the stone he found near the cross in the empty cavity in the wall. The brick fits perfectly. Our hero puts the brick he found under the bed in this cavity. He has no problem sliding it in. Although the vacant cavities are now filled with the 3 bricks, nothing happens. Our hero picks up the stone he placed in that empty spot in the wall. Our knight picks up the stone he placed in that empty spot in the wall. Our knight picks up the stone he placed in that empty spot in the wall. Our hero puts the brick he found under the bed in this cavity. Our knight picks up the stone he found near the cross in the empty cavity in the wall. Our knight inserts the brick found in the chest into this empty space in the wall. Suddenly, the wall under one of the arches begins to slide. A cool wind rushes into the monk's cell, a sign that the newly opened passageway leads outdoors. Our knights enter a darkened passageway. The narrow passage goes deep into the hill on which the abbey is perched. They reach the hillside, where they discover a verdant place, seemingly unscathed by the drought. In the middle of the flowering plants, a young servant holds a damsel's hands in his. "My sweet Steren," he says, "ever since I saw you across the river, all of my heart has been devoted to you." The girl replies, "Oh, Girek, my kind and beautiful beloved, your face fills my thoughts, and I hear your voice constantly in my ears." At that moment, a rustling disturbs the lovers. They are alarmed to realize they are no longer alone. They cry out, "Who goes there?" The young man can explain everything. He and Steren fell in love at first sight. Since then, an unbreakable bond has united them. Steren emotionally confirms the words of her beloved, whom she loves with all her heart and whose soul is noble and pure. Everyone calls him Blondin, but his real name is Girek. Girek is not uncivilized. He had a good upbringing, and yet, how lucky he is to be loved by Steren. He says he's unworthy compared to his beloved with her sweetness and great beauty. Girek is a kitchen boy at the Abbey, yet he dreams of becoming a knight. Lowering his voice, he adds that he is the child everyone believes drowned. He is Sir Tennevan's son. When he fell into the water, a passageway to the other world opened up at the bottom of the pond. A Fae took him in and raised him, caring for him for 8 years' time, though only 3 weeks had passed in this world. Whatever our hero thinks, the lovers beg him to keep it all a secret, Girek's identity and the love that binds them. The young people relax immediately and thank our knight. Feeling confident, the lovers must now part and return to their everyday lives. After a tender goodbye, Girek climbs the hillside while Steren goes back toward the secret passage. In the corridor, next to the guards, Sir Argantyle watches his daughter's door with a tormented look. Seeing our knight, he urges him to reveal what he has discovered. The Lord sighs with relief. What a clever girl. Somewhat chagrined, he says he must accept that she keeps certain things secret. After all, she is no longer a child. He thanks our hero. Sir Argantyle also takes his leave. He heads back towards the cloister. Sir Tennevan reaches the cloister with his 2 knights. They talk of weapons and fighting techniques in a tone that betrays their vanity. When he stands, Sir Tennevan makes for an imposing figure. In a haughty voice, he says, "Here you are again, knight. What more do you need to say?" Tennevan says not a word as our knight walks away. A rather thin young man with a high forehead and piercing eyes disdainfully greets our hero. His name is Sebert. The knight spits on the ground. He is but a scoundrel and a mangy dog. Who is getting what he deserves? Rivelin surely used trickery or deceit to take the life of Alastair, one of my lord's knights. Sebert has a lot to say about the circumstances of their deaths. That day was especially hot. Since Sir Tennevan was busy, he entrusted his son to Sir Alastair, his best knight, to take the boy to swim in the river. He is eager to battle Sir Argantel's men and hopes they will pay for their crimes. I will do anything to avenge my lord, he shouts fiercely. Our hero takes leave of the Lord's knight, who wordlessly watches him depart. A middle-aged, stocky, fierce-looking knight greets our hero. His name is Gontran. Gontran was not there, so he has little to say about it. What distresses him most is that the body of Tennevan's son has not been found. He's far too vindictive and vengeful, exclaims Gontran. Rivalan and Alastair, his lord's knight, pass their time challenging each other and quarreling. Gontran prefers tournaments to war, but, he adds smugly, if war does come, he will do what he must. With a haughty look, Sir Gontran watches our knight move away. Back in the chapter house, our knight approaches the abbot as he bends over his manuscripts. He is checking the inventory of the abbey's provisions. Despite the worries that overwhelm him, Alban is relieved to see our knight and his companions finally arrive at the abbey. Our hero now knows how serious the situation is. If Sir Tennevan executes Sir Argantuel's nephew, Argantuel will be left with no choice but to declare war on Tennevan. Alban does not know what to answer. The matters that concern lords and knights are quite unknown to him. However, he does have something to ask our hero about Rivelin. Alban fears for the soul of this man who refuses to reveal the reasons that pushed him to fight the Lord's Knight. Perhaps Rivelin would agree to confide in another knight. Tennevan's boy, who was only 8 years old, fell into the river 3 weeks ago. This happened because the knight who was watching him fought a duel with Rivalan and was killed by him. Despite a long search, no body was found. 2 weeks later, the river was dry. The abbot shakes his tonsured head in dismay. What an excessive amount! Argantael will never be able to pay, and Sir Tennevan is unyielding. This seems a lost cause. Nothing has changed, even after several days of discussion. The lords are deadlocked, and he sees no solution. A sense of grandeur strikes the eyes and hearts of our knights. With its large columns topped by magnificent intertwined arches, the church inspires awe and piety. Not far from the altar, our hero is surprised to find the Lord's daughter on her knees, eyes half closed, hands joined together. The girl nods. By not revealing her secret, our knight has saved her a lot of grief. Nevertheless, she worries about her cousin Rivellon and also about her father. The young lady prays for 3 things. She would, of course, like Rivellon to escape the sad fate that awaits him. She also hopes one day to marry Girac. And finally, she's praying for her father, who is not well. Steran nods gravely. Everything would be settled easily if Girac could only talk to his father and gain his recognition as his son. Alas, without proof, no one will believe him. Stung to the core, the young woman exclaims, "Of course I believe him. Truly, sire, you offend me. You have seen, as I have, that he is nothing like a kitchen boy." She came here with her father because she's very concerned about his nerves. The failed negotiations and Rivellon's approaching execution have plunged him into a deep despair, and she's afraid that his condition will worsen. The abbot gave her a recipe for a maceration to calm the mind. Vinegar is needed to make it, however, and the abbey cannot provide any because the vinegar stores have been exhausted since the beginning of the drought. The young girl rejoices. "You will need 2 large handfuls of St. John's wort, whose flowers are yellow like the sun. Girac could then do the maceration." The abbot told her that Saint Theoc founded the abbey centuries ago, after making the spring of the Avon River flow. How sad that oblivion has swallowed up much of the saint's accomplishments, she murmurs. Our knight leaves the Lord's daughter, who returns to her prayers. The statue of a saint rises up farther behind the altar. The sculpted man holds a holy book with both fervor and benevolence. It must be the holy founder of the abbey that Alban mentioned. After this prayer, our hero holds his breath in the church's majestic silence. Mesmerized, he stares at the statue. A beam of golden light illuminates the saint's face. A cracking is heard. The statue slides on its pedestal, revealing a passageway into the darkness. Our heroes can now enter the catacombs. Under skulls and bones, 3 books rest in alcoves framed with colorful ornaments. 3 sets of 3 jars face the alcoves. Huge and beautifully crafted, the book is decorated with numerous gildings and illuminations. The manuscript, written in Latin, seems to have escaped the effects of time. With confidence and ease, our knight begins to read. The meaning of the words come to his mind effortlessly. Theoc was a poor and lonely shepherd. One day, venturing far from home with his sheep, he reached a wasteland empty of all human presence. He and his animals were soon thirsty in this arid place. Then Theoc saw swallows flying low over the horizon. Without knowing why, he started following them. It was as if they were waiting for him. They landed on a rock, pecking at it several times with their beaks. With his staff, the shepherd imitated them. He knocked the same number of times on the rock. A stream of water gushed out. The man fell to his knees and gave thanks, full of confidence in the future. This magnificent book, too, is written in Latin. With confidence and ease, our knight begins to read. The meaning of the words come to his mind effortlessly. Theoc prayed night and day, barefoot and wearing a rough-hewn tunic. Around him, shepherds and peasants gathered, while the land became fertile and green. On top of a hill, the shepherd began to preach to a growing crowd. He broke the bread and blessed it. His words touched the hearts of the people. Over the years, men of all ages and conditions joined Theoc. Together, they built an abbey that welcomed a warm community of monks. This magnificent book, too, is written in Latin. With confidence and ease, our knight begins to read. The meaning of the words come to his mind effortlessly. One day, Theoc was overtaken by an inexplicable drowsiness at the edge of the river. A snake was slowly making its way toward his face to bite him, when a field mouse scurried between them. The reptile immediately went after the rodent, which jumped into the river just as it was about to be swallowed. The snake dived in after it and drowned. A flame shot up over the water where the rodent had sunk. Theoc thanked the heavens. The animal sacrifice had saved his life. Hundreds of field mice bowed before the abbot. What a miracle! The rodents had grown. Our heroes arrive in an austere crypt. Two large candlesticks light the base of an empty tomb. On one side of the base, there are 3 empty cavities. Here, then, is St. Theoc's tomb, but it is sealed, and there is no trace of the relic. Its 3 niches are empty. Our hero thinks that perhaps an object should be placed within each one. Our knights turn their backs to the altar to retrace their steps in the catacombs. Our heroes turn their backs on the catacombs to return into the light of the church. sense of grandeur strikes the eyes and hearts of our knights. With its large columns topped by magnificent intertwined arches, the church inspires awe and piety. Back in the chapter house, our knight approaches the abbot as he bends over his manuscripts. He is checking the inventory of the abbey's provisions. Despite the worries that overwhelm him, Alban is relieved to see our knight and his companions finally arrive at the abbey. There is none left, because the two lords bought his reserve. In case of war, vinegar will be very useful to clean wounds. The rest was given to the farmers who worked on the abbey grounds. The abbot encourages our hero. "Son," he says, "it is only a matter of time before you succeed, provided you keep the faith." The abbot is amazed when our hero tells him the details of the saint's life. There is certainly much to learn there. These actions should be emulated to solve the problems of our time, he says. A middle-aged, stocky, fierce-looking knight greets our hero. His name is Gontran. His companion Sebert might have some, but Gontran doubts he will give it up willingly. With a haughty look, Sir Gontran watches our knight move away. When Sir Sebert sees our knight return, he barely glances at him. Sebert nods. The kitchen boy sold him the last pint of the excellent Abbey vinegar, and he used some to clean a wound. The knight frowns. He has no fondness for Sir Argantel, which makes him reluctant to part with his precious vinegar. Sir Sebert hesitates, then finally lets himself be convinced. He gives our hero a small earthenware vinegar dish containing the precious liquid. Our hero takes leave of the Lord's knight, who wordlessly watches him depart. Sir Tenevon scowls and gestures with exasperation when our knight returns to speak to him. If that is the price to pay to avenge his son and his knight, he will not back down. And regardless, he has many more soldiers than Argantel and better armed too. He looks our hero up and down and then laughs. "I bet you won't be able to defeat Gontran," he exclaims. "If you are victorious in a duel to first blood, I will agree to your request. But for now, only the abbot is allowed to see that dog, Rivelon." Tenevon says not a word as our knight walks away. A middle-aged, stocky, fierce-looking knight greets our hero. The Lord's knight rejoices, thinking he will crush our hero beneath his heel. Sir Tenevon announces the start of the duel. Sir Tennevan grows impatient and stops the fight. A middle-aged, stock with a haughty look. Sir Tennevan is as angry with our hero as he is with his own knight. This combat is laughable. Tennevan. A middle-aged with a hot. Our knight finds Girek, the kitchen boy, busily preparing a stew. Several loaves of bread are cooling on a table. The young man gives him a joyful smile. He has not been visited by Sir Argantel or the abbot. This is proof that our hero has kept their secret. At Steren's name, Girek's eyes shine bright. She too asked him the day before, but unfortunately there is not a drop of vinegar left. He knows, however, that Sir Sebert was the last to have bought vinegar from the abbey. He will start the preparation only when our hero has found the St. John's wort flowers. With a goodbye, our knight leaves the young man to his ovens. Once out of the abbey walls, our knights head down the path through the grounds. Our knight picks a big handful of these flowers, which Steren had asked for. Girek waves to our knight when he sees him enter. Girek tells our knight that he will need another handful of St. John's wort flowers to make the vinegar. With a goodbye, our knight leaves the young man to his ovens. Our knight picks another handful of St. John's wort. Girek will need some to make the medicinal vinegar. Girak waves to our knight when he sees him enter. Our knight has worked hard. Girak quickly takes the ingredients handed to him. "This will not take long," he says. Girak hands back the jar, now filled with medicinal vinegar. Our hero thanks him warmly for his help. With a goodbye, our knight leaves the young man to his ovens. Sir Tenevon scowls and gestures with exasperation when our knight returns to speak to him. In truth, he wants to see the suffering. Tenevon's As our knight approaches, one of the guards says he has no business going to the room of his lord's daughter. Darren is still praying when our knight last saw her. The girl smiles gratefully at the sight of the cruet of vinegar. Thanks to his and Girek's help, her father's mind will be eased. A passing light surrounds our knight. He suddenly feels like he's being watched over by an invisible and kind gaze. Our knight leaves the Lord's daughter, who returns to her prayers. The way to the catacombs is now clear. Our heroes can now enter the catacombs. Our hero walks up to the jars. From within comes the muffled hissing of snakes. Our hero reads the Latin inscription, Fidelitas. Drawing on his knowledge, our hero manages to decipher the inscription, which can be translated as loyalty. With trepidation, our knight plunges his hand into the jar. The snakes graze him. He grabs something, but when he pulls his hand away, he's bitten. He was still able to grab a miniature copper bull. Our hero walks up to the jars. From within comes the muffled hissing of snakes. Our hero reads the Latin inscription, Fortitudo. Drawing on his knowledge, our hero manages to decipher the inscription, which can be translated as strength. With trepidation, our knight plunges his hand into the jar. The snakes graze him. He grabs something, but when he pulls his hand away, he's bitten. He was still able to grab 2 joined rings. Our hero walks up to the jars. From within comes the muffled hissing of snakes. Our hero reads the Latin inscription, Fides. Drawing on his knowledge, our hero manages to decipher the inscription, which can be translated as faith. With trepidation, our knight plunges his hand into the jar. The snakes graze him. He was still able to grab a wooden swallow. Our hero walks up to the jars. From within comes the muffled hissing of snakes. Our hero reads the Latin inscription, Monos. Drawing on his knowledge, our hero manages to decipher the inscription, which can be translated as gift. With trepidation, our knight plunges his hand into the jar. He was still able to grab a loaf of bread made of porcelain. Our hero walks up to the jars. From within comes the muffled hissing of snakes. Our hero reads the Latin inscription, Spes. Drawing on his knowledge, our hero manages to decipher the inscription, which can be translated as hope. With trepidation, our knight plunges his hand into the jar. He was still able to grab a small anchor made of iron. Our hero walks up to the jars. From within comes the muffled hissing of snakes. Our hero reads the Latin inscription, Temperantia. Drawing on his knowledge, our hero manages to decipher the inscription, which can be translated as temperance. With trepidation, our knight plunges his hand into the jar. He was still able to grab a sculpture showing 2 cups connected by a stream of water. Our hero walks up to the jars. From within, our hero reads the Latin inscription, Prudentia. Drawing on his knowledge, our hero manages to decipher the inscription, which can be translated as caution. Our hero walks up to the jars. Our hero reads the Latin inscription, Sacrificium. Drawing on his knowledge, our hero manages to decipher the inscription, which can be translated as sacrifice. Our hero walks up to the jars. Our hero reads the Latin inscription, Gaudium. Drawing on his knowledge, our hero manages to decipher the inscription, which can be translated as joy. With trepidation, he was still able to grab a sun-shaped pendant made of... The other two cavities are still empty. Only a third object is needed, so they are filled. Our knight puts a last object in the only cavity still empty. Disturbing noises, was that bones cracking, soon echo through the crypt. Our heroes are amazed to see a troop of armed skeletons threatening them. Despite the number of their adversaries, our heroes were not impressed. An offense to life, these beings are now nothing more than piles of bones on the ground. Our hero walks up on this jar. With trepidation, he was still able. Our hero on this jar. Our hero walks up on this jar. With trepidation, he was still able to grab a snake made of tin. Back in the chapter house, our knight approaches the abbot, as despite the worries that overwhelm him, near the abbey's main gate, 2 guards stand in front of a high tower. "Halt there, sire," cries the guard. "I have orders not to let anyone in." Though the guard hears our hero's request, he cannot disobey an order. As soon as our hero hints at it, the guards stop him. "Sire, you cannot mean it. We'd all end up with a noose around our necks if we accepted such a proposal." Our hero turns away under the guard. Near the abbey's main gate, 2 guards stand in front of a high tower. One stops our knight.
Halt there, sire, cries the...
The two men at arms look at each other uneasily. They know they cannot resist the knights, so they let them access the bell tower where Rivellin is imprisoned. When they are shown the seal, the guards let our heroes pass. After having climbed a narrow staircase, our knights reach the bell tower. A young man is chained to the wall, but, strangely enough, the chain link seems to have been partly filed off. The man breathes a sigh of relief. Arthur's knights have finally arrived, he exclaims. The fine-featured man, with a serious look, gives a greeting and says his name is Sir Rivellin. He is Sir Argantel's knight and nephew. Rivellin becomes suspicious. He has no desire to revisit this. A look of embarrassment and shame clouds his gaze. The prisoner's sad look is unchanged, but a pale hope dawns in his eye. Finally, he decides to speak. He says, "That day, I challenged Sir Alastair, but since he was guarding his lord's child, he refused at first. Full of spite, I drew my sword and attacked him without warning." Rivellin and Alastair were in love with two rival Fays. To please the ladies, and since they liked to quarrel, the two knights spent their time competing to see who was the strongest. A pulsing light surrounds our knight. He suddenly feels like he's being watched over by an invisible and kind gaze. He nods. After the duel with Sir Alastair, only the child's shoes remain, but there was no trace of the boy. The knight gives a small, desperate laugh. Well, sire, he says, here I am, a prisoner, and by tonight I will be dead, and Sir Argantel will declare war. I do not see how things could get any worse. There is indeed a way. However, he refuses to escape because it would be dishonorable. He thinks he has done enough damage as it is. A big smile lights up his face. Nothing escapes our knight's attention. It turns out that a person who is very dear to him has already tried to get him to escape. But, as he said earlier, he was opposed to it. The fate of the region will be sealed if we let things unfold. Nevertheless, we must remain hopeful. He has no doubt our hero will succeed in preventing his death, and thus the war. With deference, Sir Rivellin lifts his gaze skyward and says, I love a very wonderful and unique woman, a Fay who can become an eagle of gigantic size. With her beak and sharp claws, she filed down my chains. Sir Rivellin is filled with genuine joy. Most often people laugh when he mentions his beloved. Moreover, he can prove his claims. He starts whistling in a certain rhythm. Then he shrilly utters a few words in an unknown language. Immediately, a huge eagle crosses the sky and lands close by Rivellin. The knight raises his hand and caresses the bird. This is Iana, my dearest beloved, he says. Sire, I will show you how to call her. Perhaps she can help you in your venture. Rivellon repeats the whistle and the words of power. The Fey Eagle answers with a cry before spreading her wings and flying out of view. Our hero leaves Rivellon, his mind full of these new revelations. A feeling of peace suddenly comes over him, as if a benevolent gaze had given him its blessing for getting the prisoner to open up. Girak waves to our knight when he sees him enter. With a goodbye, when Sir Sebert sees our knight return, he barely... Our hero takes a middle-aged, stocky, fierce-looking with a hot... Sir Tenevon scowls and... Tenevon's... Back in the chapter house, our knight approaches despite the worries that overwhelm him. The man of faith listens carefully. He does not know what to think about the role the Fae played. Perhaps they are only a product of Rivellon's disturbed imagination. However, it is fortunate that he was able to relieve his soul of his guilt. Steren is still praying when our knight last saw. Our knight leaves the Lord's door. The way to the catacombs is... The way to the Our heroes can now enter... This with confidence and ease. Theoc was a poor and lonely shepherd. One day, venturing far, he and his animals were soon thirsty in this arid place. Then Theoc saw swallows flying low over the horizon. Without knowing why, they landed on a rock, pecking at its This with confidence and ease. Theoc prayed night and day, barefoot and wearing a rough-hewn tunic. Around him, shepherds and peasants. On top of a hill, the shepherd began to preach to a growing crowd. He broke over the years. This magnificent, with confidence and ease, our knight begins to read. One day, Theok was overtaken by an inexplicable drowsiness at the edge. The reptile immediately went after the rodent, which Theok thanked the heavens. Our hero takes bath. Our fighter is clearing the third cavity of its contents. Only a third object is needed, so they... This time, our knight removes... This time, when 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 our knight removes... This time, our knight removes... This time, our knight removes... This time, our knight removes the object. This time. Here then is Santeok's tomb, but it is sealed. Our fighter is clearing. As our knight places a third object in the last unoccupied cavity, the ground begins to quake. The recumbent statue of the saint emerges from its pedestal with a loud crash. The stone abbot seems to be sleeping the peaceful sleep of the just, his hands joined together on the shepherd's staff. The top of the base reveals an engraving. By contemplating the statue, our knight's blood is purified of the snake venom. Even in death, the saint's power flows. With awe and care, our knight is taken with a relic of the recumbent statue. What an honor! This inscription, in common language, appeared at the same time as the recumbent statue. It reads, "Most holy Theok, never will we forget that you saw 3 swallows, broke bread with 3 monks at the founding of your abbey, and contemplated a single flame on the water."
Back in the chapter house, our knight approaches the abbot, despite the worries that overwhelm him. The abbot joins his hands at this announcement. "What an admirable feat!" he exclaims. "Henceforth, heaven's grace will be with you. Now you can rejuvenate our spring and its river." Like Saint Theoc, our knight, equipped with a staff, is about to strike the rock. At the seventh blow, our knight stops and listens. Distant at first, a splash can be heard coming closer and closer. Suddenly, water gushes out of the rock. Our hero goes to claim victory, but quiets quickly. The flood of water rises above the ground. It becomes a gigantic water snake. It attacks our knights with fury. the end of its strength, the creature turns into a simple spray of water that then disappears into the ground. And to think that our knight was going to strike the fatal blow. Back in the chapter house, our knight approaches the abbot, despite the worries that overwhelm him. What a great wonder that is! He then asks if it is possible to defeat the creature. The abbot is thoughtful. It would seem the river has taken the form of this snake. In fact, he remembers a legend about Saint Theoch's victory over a snake. The details of this miracle must be found somewhere in the catacombs. This magnificent, with confidence and ease, Theoch prayed night and day. There on top of a hill, the shepherd began over the years. With confidence, one day, Theoch was overtaken by an inexplicable drowsiness at the edge of the river. As the reptile immediately went after the rodent, which jumped into the river just as it was about to be swallowed. The snake dived in after it and drowned. Theoch thanked the heavens. The animal sacrifice had saved. Other field mice are ready to attack our knights. During the fight, our hero calls out to Iana the Fair Eagle. She swoops down onto one of the field mice and plucks it up into the air. At the sight of the eagle, the other field mice were frightened and scurried away. Hardly discouraged, our knight wants to try once again to bring the source to life. Our knight strikes the rock 7 times. Once again, water gushes out. Our hero takes a backward step, and as before, the stream grows and changes shape. It becomes a gigantic water snake. It attacks our knights with fury. Iana the Fae answers our hero's call. In her fearsome claws, she brings back the field mouse and she drops it. The reaction of the water snake is not long in coming. Ready to gobble it up, the water snake sets off after the rodent, who runs away as fast as it can. The mouse jumps into the riverbed and the monster follows. Suddenly, a torrent of water gushes out and fills the river flow. It is then that the current throws onto the shore an exhausted woman. Our hero takes a moment to contemplate the beauty of this lady who has sprung from the waters. Dressed in a blue silk gown, she glows despite her confused look and wet black hair. A high and clear voice escapes from between her ruddy lips. I remember not how I got here. Can you tell me what happened? Eyes half closed, the woman seems to contemplate this. finally, she answers that she is the Fae of the spring that flows here, and she thanks our hero for having freed her. Her name is Lady Eidlin. Our hero is amazed. The water snake and her were the same. She is sure of it, even if she has few memories. She also knows that she was trapped in this form. She is a fae who harbored much anger and an unspeakable thirst for revenge. And against her will, the waters of the river gave her that monstrous form. The lady lowers her gaze in guilt. With a sigh, she reveals it is all of her doing. It is her fault. Our hero remains speechless before this woman who takes the blame for herself. She remembers seeing Sir Alastair, her beloved, die before her, killed by a rival knight. This caused her great pain. The lady cannot deny it. She must take her share of responsibility for what happened. Since then, she has developed a terrible hatred for Sir Rivellon and Iana. Back in the world of humans, she thinks only of revenge. The waters of the river followed our inclination. This is how she became the water snake. From then on, she lost all control. She comes indeed from another world that is very close to the human world. It can be found under the water, at the bottom of the river. However, only the Fae have the knowledge and power to cross the threshold. She knows her. She is the beloved of the knight who killed the man she herself loves. The woman shakes her head. After all, she does not know our knight, and although she means him no offense, she's not ready to tell him what she knows.
Troubled, the lady finally agrees to speak. That day, Sir Alastair was going to the spring with a child. At the beginning of the duel, the child fell into the water. He was about to drown when Eidlin led him across the river bottom into the fairy world. In his agony, Sir Alastair, who was left alone by his adversary, made his lady swear to take care of the child, his lord's son, whom she had just saved. Thus, for 8 years, she cared for the boy. When the child grew up, he joined his own world, thus ending her duty. She does not know where he could be. When she took him in, he had a purse and a medal depicting a saint that he never took off. Perhaps his father would recognize these objects. With a smile, the lady wishes our knight good day. Back in the kitchens, our hero is welcomed by the admiring words of Girek. The news of the river flowing once again has reached his ears. He feels sorry for his sweet Steren,
for she is heartbroken. He would so much like to ease her suffering, but the abbot has forbidden him from attending the execution. The kitchen boy hastens to ask our knight what proof he speaks of. Girac is astonished. Few people know about these objects, and he himself did not know he had been wearing them when he fell into the water. He wonders how our hero came to know this. The young man is surprised she has come into this world. She is indeed the woman who raised him for 8 years. With pride, he stands up suddenly. It's time for him to go talk to his father, and who knows, perhaps he will agree to his marrying Sterren, and the war can be avoided. The kitchen boy makes his way to Sir Thenavon and greets him with a bow. Sir Thenavon pays little attention to the boy until he says that he is his son, Girac. Silence. The abbot returns to the court. Sir Thenavon shouts angrily and raises his hand to strike the brazen boy. Sterren and Alban immediately rush to the boy's aid.
Father, it is I, your son, thanks to the good sprite alive. Edelyn was like a mother to me, and no one knew I survived.
The 2 knights were deep in battle and did not hear my frantic cry. But Ailleen came to my rescue. She knew I was going to die. 8 years in her world I lived, a wondrous and enchanted place. But then I saw the fair Sterren and longed for a gentle embrace.
It is you, Girac, my son, thanks to the good sprite alive. Oh, how the rage did consume me, with such pain I could not forgive. I believe your story, Girac, this object have I given you. Now I gladly bless this union, for I see your love is very true. May our kingdoms join together, may we live in harmony and peace. Let's rejoice and let's make merry, for at last this strife both does cease. Father, I am full of joy, thanks to the good sprite alive. Make we now a new beginning, may our folk unite and thrive.